Okay. Hi, my name is Grace, and I don't know why it looks like this, but I'm doing my presentation on the effects of solitary confinement. That was my research topic. Also, this is Kara's foot. So mad. Okay, here we go. Start. Okay, so the effects of solitary confinement by Grace Tibler. Also, no, I did not copy Kara's theme. She copied me. Thank you. Okay, so the table of contents. Okay. So to start off, we're going to start off with key terms and definitions. Most importantly, what is solitary confinement? Solitary confinement is a form of segregated housing in which incarcerated individuals are held in small cells for nearly the entire day, 23 to 24 hours, with little to no meaningful human contact outside of their cell. Related terms include disciplinary segregation, which refers to short-term punitive isolation. Some key related concepts that I found in the articles were pseudo families, which is social kinship structures that women create to cope with isolation. Women. Psychological distress, which includes depression, anxiety, and paranoia stemming from extreme isolation. The scale of the problem is that approximately 61,000 individuals in U.S. prisons are currently held in solitary confinement. This is not updated as of like right now, but it is from the most recent article that I found. So I think as of 2024. I'm not sure if they put one out for 2025. The most common duration is 1 to 3 months, which is 29% of cases, which is a really big number actually. And some individuals experience long-term placement, which can last years. My drawings. Continued definitions and key terms. The mental health impact of solitary confinement. Research from NIH, also known as the National Institute of Health, shows a stark disparity between those with serious mental illness, aka SMI, and those without. So here half of serious mental illness individuals experience hallucinations, and only 10% of non-serious mental health individuals then yeah. Emotional stress is over half of the population with serious mental health, and then lower than half without. And then mania symptoms or mania 19% with and 13% without, which both numbers are still pretty high. This demonstrates that solitary confinement disproportionately harms those with pre-existing mental health conditions. Okay. Next, we're going to be talking about scope and ripple effects. During incarceration, solitary confinement disrupts every aspect of an incarcerated person's life. So in my little picture down there, due to sad, lonely. Um, you have no social connections. It exacerbates existing mental illness. You don't get access to educational programming and opportunities for rehabilitation. And it creates isolation that prevents normal human interaction, which is what humans need. Post-incarceration consequences, um, the effects they don't end when you get out. They actually get worse. So there's a heightened suicide risk, continued or worsening psychosis, um, hard difficulty reintegrating into communities, and then trauma can be spread into neighborhoods. Continuation of scopes and ripple effects is the economic costs of solitary. Maintaining it is a lot more expensive than the general population, because there is an increase of staff and security requirements. The money is diverted from rehabilitation and mental health treatment, perpetuates cycles of recidivism. Individuals who experience solitary are more likely to return to prison, creating both fiscal and social consequences. Um, on to my theories. I called it the theoretical framework. The first theory is behavioral case linkage and investigative psychology. This means that, or the idea is that offenders exhibit distinctive, consistent behavior patterns across their crimes. Like, I don't know, like Ed Gein. Strengths, empirical data-driven approach, and it identifies offender signatures. So like if someone were to kill someone, they leave like an X every time they murder someone on like their chest. Limitations, offenders may deliberately alter behaviors. Geographic similarities can create false linkages. Continuation of my theories. The second one is routine activity theory and environmental criminology. The idea of this theory is that crime occurs when three factors align: suitable target, a motivated offender, and a lack of capable guardianship. Strengths is that it provides tools like geographic profiling and crime hotspot mapping, which helps deploy resources wisely. Limitations, it may oversimplify by emphasizing opportunity over complex psychological and social factors. Now there's my little drawing. I didn't draw that. Okay, the third theory, secondary victimization theory. This one came up a lot in my articles when looking for theories, and the idea is that victims and families experience additional harm not from the original crime, but from the negative justice system responses. So it includes poor communication, delayed investigations, insensitive treatment, victim blaming and lack of closure. And then how all of these theories work together is that they provide complementary lenses, which are behavioral approaches. They guide investigation priorities. Environmental approaches inform resource allocation, and victim-centered theory ensures justice system accountability. Okay, so for my research methods, we're running out of time. First one, administrative data analysis. It's using existing prison records, databases, and government surveys. Strengths is that it's large sample sizes to get data from. It has real life patterns and it's efficient to trend over time. It's efficient for trends over time. There's not psychological or emotional dimensions, and some prison records are often incomplete or biased. Example limitation that I came up with, you can't tell if mental illness caused solitary placement or if solitary caused the mental illness. Okay, second, qualitative interview studies. It's an in-depth interviews with people who experience solitary or work in corrections. The strength is that it reveals human dimensions that numbers cannot capture, like what we talked about before. It doesn't capture emotional and psychological factors. It documents psychological, and I just said that. Okay. Limitations. It has small sample sizes, so instead of like thousands, it just has like dozens, so like in the tens. Um, it has interviewer bias, unreliable recall from participants, researcher interpretation bias affects validity. I am running out of time. Okay, third one, mixed methods research. So this is both of them combined, or like all of them combined. Um, Triangulation strengthens validity, shows both broad patterns and individual variation. It has a more complete picture. It's time consuming, as limitations, it's time consuming and expensive. And there's an increased researcher bias, deciding how to weigh different evidence. All researchers face significant obstacles: prison access, ethical concerns, data inconsistency, and practical constraints. Ethical dilemmas. Forensic psychologists working follow the APA ethical principles of psychologists and code of conduct. How much time do we have? Till how much? 10 minutes? 12. Okay. So the first one is confidentiality versus court duty. The second one is dual relationships, and the third one is informed consent and legal mandates. So for the first one, tension. Should psychologists protect client privacy or fulfill duties to courts? So as a protective approach, they don't share as much information, but as a disclosure approach, they disclose all findings openly, which it supports accurate legal decisions from the principle B. And both of them can be justified. Dual relationships, they serve multiple roles in a case, risk and compromise objectivity. Option one, they could avoid involvement, or option two, accept the case but implement transparency measures. Dilemma three, the challenge of dilemma three of informed consent and legal mandates. Participation is often legally mandated. Genuine voluntary consent is impossible. Um, the APA code does not provide black and white answers, but it requires professionals to make careful, responsible decisions um, against legal system needs. My conclusion about the entire paper, about everything that I've learned, is that solitary confinement is a multi-phased problem requiring integrated approaches that incorporate understanding offender behavior patterns, don't put your foot in it, analyzing environmental and situational contexts, prioritizing victim advocacy and justice system accountability, and maintaining ethical standards and protecting human dignity. The research collectively demonstrates that solitary confinement causes lasting psychological and physical harm, and it impacts vulnerable populations. It also has ripple effects extending from prisons to communities, and policy and reform should balance investigative effectiveness with sensitivity to enduring trauma. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.